Good morning, everyone. I'm Amelito Enriquez, and I teach engineering at Cañada College, which is a community college in the San Francisco Bay Area. I was hoping that one of my co-authors will be here, Nick Langhoff. If you have questions, wait for him and ask the questions. Two of our other co-authors are doing presentations in a parallel session somewhere else about some other aspects of our project. I will first start with trying to get this to move forward. An brief overview of the project that we worked on and some information description of the partner institutions involved. But the focus of my presentation is on the development and implementation of the online graphics course at Cañada College. Our project's called CalStep. Which is creating alternative learning strategies for transfer engineering programs. It's a three-year project that's funded by the National Science Foundation IU's grant program. And our overarching goals are to strengthen community college transfer engineering programs, especially at small colleges like my college, Cañada College, and ultimately to increase access among community college transfer engineering students to lower division engineering courses that are needed for transfer. Among our motivations for doing the project are, if you're from a community college, you would know that the transfer process is becoming so selective, so competitive, and so complex, so selective that if a student is missing 2 or more courses, some universities don't even look at their applications. It has become so complicated because different institutions in different majors want different things. So, for instance, for a small community college like mine, it's impossible for me to design a course, for example, in material science for civil engineering students who are going to Berkeley. I will have maybe a quarter of a student every year. At the same time, prior to this project, the partner institutions have had some success in increasing enrollment through online teaching, but mostly for lecture courses. And about several years ago, in California, there was a Senate bill whose main goal was to improve the transfer process for community college engineering students, and we wanted to take advantage of that. And then more recently, at the state level, the community college system in California was putting a lot of effort into online education. So with these goals in mind and our motivations, we try to develop the activities for our program, and among them are mainly developing online labs for the core lower division engineering lab courses, including Introduction to Engineering, Graphics, Material Science, and Circuits. And the talk is mostly about graphics for this morning. And also we wanted to look into alternative ways of delivering low enrollment courses in something like what we call flip/emporium model. And the idea is you deliver content online, and then for the face-to-face session, students from different courses would be meeting with the same instructor, maybe in the same classroom or maybe in adjacent classrooms. The idea is maybe we have 5 graphics students and 4 circuit students and then 3 intro students. The class wouldn't be canceled. Therefore, the students will have access to those courses. So that's one of our objectives. Just some information about the partner institutions. The lead institution is Cañada College, where I'm from. We're all from the San Francisco Bay Area. College of Marine is about 15 miles north of us, just across the Golden Gate Bridge, and Monterey Peninsula College is about 25 miles south of us. Since we started this program, we added a new partner, Skyline College, because of one of my colleagues, Nick Langhoff, who hopefully will come soon to answer your questions, started an engineering program at Skyline College. And Skyline is between Cañada and College of Marine in location. Just to compare the 3 institutions involved, Cañada over here, and Marin over here, and Monterey here, actually some of the smallest community colleges in our area. If you look at the numbers, 10,000, 9,000, 13,000, compare that to the average head count for other San Francisco Bay Area community colleges, around 18,000. And one more thing, we're all Hispanic serving institutions, very diverse institutions. Hispanic serving means that at least 25% are Hispanic students and low income. And in our case, though, Cañada has the highest percentage of Hispanic students at 46. The demographics of Marin and Monterey are very similar. Just one aspect that I want to highlight here is the complexity of the transfer program. So we have 112 or 113 community colleges in California, 23 CSUs, California State University, 9 UC, or University of California, and several private institutions, and 0 standardization. So for community college programs who are trying to serve students who are transferring to all of these institutions, it becomes really, really challenging. So as I said earlier, the focus is on the engineering graphics class, the online engineering graphics class at Cañada. The class has been in the books for a long time. It's a 4-unit course, 3 for lecture and 1 for lab, and it articulates with a statewide CID, or course identification, which has 14 specified topics, but the state curriculum doesn't specify any particular CAD software, and 6 general course student learning outcomes. The class at Cañada has 3 hours of lecture and 3 hours of lab per week for about 16 to 17 weeks. And in Cañada, we designed specifically to cover both AutoCAD and SolidWorks, simply because some universities and some majors want AutoCAD, others want SolidWorks. And in designing our lab curriculum, oh, there he is. Questions would go to that gentleman back there. We tried to achieve these 13 engineering lab objectives that were specified by ABET Sloan through weekly labs, homework, quizzes, and so on. Before we developed our curriculum, we spent quite a bit of time looking at what's out there available in terms of resources. But what we found out quickly is that most commercially available products actually focus on software proficiency. And those curricula do not really align very well with the course learning outcomes, and it would require considerable customization in order to fit what we need. And also, there's none that covers both AutoCAD and SolidWorks in the same package, and they're very costly to students. So we decided actually to develop our own curriculum because of that, not because we wanted to do more work. So some of the materials that we've developed, and I had help from some of the students here in developing this curriculum. We have lectures, lecture videos, video tutorials, and so on and so forth. And the videos were created using Camtasia Studio, which we are using to record this session, by the way. And here's some of the resources that we've developed. 22 lecture videos, which we try to be really short, 15 to 20 minutes. And the tutorials are even shorter, 8 to 12 minutes. And they're available currently to the students through a Moodle web access platform, but we're going to shift to Canvas starting next semester. These resources are also available to instructors who want to adopt the curriculum or part of it, any part of it, through a Dropbox. They just send us an email, and through our project website. Now, this curriculum has been piloted twice, once in fall 2015 and once again fall 2016. I'm just going to show you some highlights of this implementation results. So in 2015, and in fact, I have students who took this class either online or face-to-face, we had 2 sections, one online and one face-to-face. Unfortunately, the 2 sections were taught by different instructors. Professor A, who actually developed the curriculum and has been teaching at Cañada for a long time. Professor B, who was teaching at Cañada. Why are you guys laughing? Professor B, who was teaching for the first time at Cañada College. And in terms of lecture delivery, it was asynchronously through the pre-recorded videos for the online section and in person for the face-to-face class. Similar for the lab activities, the students either work at home using their computers or maybe in the learning center for the online section. But for the face-to-face session, the instructor actually is there during the lab time to give some help. Homework, similar. Quizzes, one online, one in person. But we wanted to be able to compare students' performance in tests. So we did not give, I'm not necessarily part of this, but the instructors did not necessarily give exactly the same test, but they selected test questions that are identical in order to sort of compare the performance of the students. Now for the 2016 implementation, we had simultaneous again online and face-to-face. Okay, but this time it was taught by the same instructor, Professor A, who again was the one who developed the curriculum. And the format's the same. One main difference is the tests are exactly the same now because it's the same instructor. We also wanted to understand the characteristics of our online students, so we did a survey, and it turned out that for fall 2015, a third of the students had to take the class because of scheduling conflicts. Less than half would not have been able to take the class if it were only face-to-face. So we felt that we're giving a service to students in order to access the class. 56% has had previous successful experience taking an online class, and all of those students actually rated the online class very effective compared to all the other online courses that they've previously taken. For fall 2016, a higher percentage, 55%, would not have been able to take the class if it's purely face-to-face. And more students had previous successful experience in the online environment. And again, all of those students compare this class very effective compared to their previous experiences with online instruction. In terms of student characteristics, both. So we looked at online students here versus face-to-face, both for fall 2015 and fall 2016. And the patterns we saw are the following. First, online students tend to have completed more units, but there's no significant difference in their previous academic performance based on, say, mean or median GPA. The online students for both years were taking slightly more units. That's not displayed in this slide. And also, understandably, online students were working more hours than face-to-face students. In terms of the implementation of the tests and comparing them for the fall 2000 cohort, here's the online and here's face-to-face. What I told you earlier is the tests are not exactly the same, but we intentionally selected identical problems in order to directly compare the performance of the online versus face-to-face. And all across the board, there's now statistically significant difference in the results. Although on the average, the online scores were actually higher. The sample sizes are too small to get statistical significance. However, there's one particular topic, test 2 problem number 1, where the online students actually outperformed face-to-face, and the difference statistically significant, and that topic was sectioning, which, by the way, is one of the more difficult topics in the class. For the 2016 implementation, remember, all the test questions are exactly the same, so we're able to just compare the final scores for the 3 scores. And all across the board, there's no statistically significant difference between the results for the online and face-to-face. Again, remembering that for 2016, it's the same instructor, but for 2015, the 2 instructors are different. So it looks like it's more of a function of the instructor rather than the curriculum or the tests themselves. In terms of overall course outcomes, for the 2015 cohort here, it looks like the retention rate and success rates are actually higher in online than face-to-face. Again, the 2 instructors are different, okay? For the fall implementation, they're about the same, and they're really, really good numbers. Okay, the only difference is in the online section, one of the students dropped, but that was really early on. It's not due to poor academic performance. It was really personal reasons. So I would, number one, look at it as they probably both did very well, the two groups. No statistical significant difference. But if we compare this fall 2016 to the historical averages, this is for the last prior 5 years, you can see that fall 2016, both online and face-to-face, outperformed the previous 5 years. It's the same instructor, by the way. The only difference is it's new curriculum developed specifically through CalStep. We also wanted to see or gauge the overall student experience through a survey. So we had a number of questions. I'll just highlight some of those results for the survey. Oops. One of the questions is, on the average, how many hours do you spend on each class, on the class each week? And here's the fall 2015 online versus face-to-face, 2016 online face-to-face. And the only pattern we see is that in both years, the face-to-face students reported that, these are self-reported numbers. I didn't spy on them and really see if they studied this much or this little, is the face-to-face students tend to declare that they studied more for the class. This includes everything, both for 15 and 16. In terms of student experience, to the prompt to this question, there is a strong connection between the lecture and the lab activities. And the way to look at this graph is we have 4 bars for each of these. So good or positive responses are to the left, okay? And the 4 bars correspond to blue is 2015 online, the red is face-to-face 2015, the green is 16 online, and purple 2016 face-to-face. So what we see is generally they're positive, right? But if you look at 2015, the online is more positive than face-to-face. Here, the majority strongly agree. Here, it's only agree, okay? On the other hand, for 2016, the difference is much less. So again, remembering that for 2015, the instructors were different. For 2016, the instructors were the same, okay? For the prompt, I have sufficient guidance on how to do the labs. Again, same pattern here. They are generally positive for all groups. However, for the 2015, the blue one is more positive compared to the red one, whereas for 2016, they're more comparable. Again, probably an indication of the difference in the instructors rather than the content or the delivery itself. Same thing for the prompt. I understand the learning objectives for the lab before I start the lab activity. Again, they're all mostly positive, but for 2015, blue is more positive than red, but for 2016, they're again very similar. So it's all across the board for all of the questions we asked. I might have another one here. Doing the lab taught me additional skills and concepts not covered in the videos, and so on. Again, much bigger difference between face-to-face and online. Face-to-face is red and online than the 2016. So as a summary, we seem to have illustrated that we have developed a graphics curriculum that's online that is successful, as evidenced by the pilot implementation. In fact, in 2016, the online seemed to be more successful in terms of retention rate as well as student-reported experience in the course. Again, 2 different instructors. Whereas the results for 2016 are more comparable for both the online and face-to-face because it's the same instructor. As well, same thing, same pattern for overall satisfaction with the course. And one good thing I want to highlight is the 2016 implementation that uses the CalStep curriculum actually had better outcomes compared to the historical averages taught by the same instructor. In terms of what we plan to do in the future, we want to implement this online graphics course at other institutions. In fact, this summer we're going to do a summer engineering teaching institute, and one of our objectives is to familiarize other faculty members from other community colleges, teach them about the CalState curriculum, not just in graphics, but in all the other courses that we have developed, and also equip them with what resources they need in order to implement those resources. Since our online enrollment has been really going up, this is something that we're looking into, exploring other ways to make sure that students are proctored, but they don't necessarily have to come to campus or something like that. Also, we're going to make the materials even more widely available to instructors, whether they want to use it in face-to-face or online environment, and also will allow other instructors to contribute, improve the resources that we have developed. We're done, right? I do want to thank NSF for funding this work, and I especially want to recognize the students who actually helped develop and test and revise the curriculum. Some of them are here. So Alex Forlanik, if you can just stand up, is here. Matthew Carlson and Nathan Carlson. And I also have some of the students who actually went through this curriculum. If you were here, thank you for taking the class. And if you have any questions, my colleague is back there to answer them.